plenty you can do. All of this stuff is in our hands, you know. I mean, none of it is inevitable. There's a very good reason why it's all done in secret and why there's so much massive lying about it. It's extremely well understood, very consciously understood, that you can never get this stuff through an informed public. In fact, you know, you just read the business press. They are very frank about it. So, for example, when you may recall a couple of years ago, fast track was voted down. It was kind of interesting. Fast track is always presented as a free trade issue. It's got absolutely nothing to do with free trade. It has to do with democracy. Fast track means that if you have fast track authority, it means the president can make, the executive can make decisions in secret, you know, international economic agreements, and then Congress can rubber stamp them without discussion. That's fast track. What's it got to do with free trade? I mean, it has to do with free trade only under one assumption, that the decisions that are going to be made will not withstand public discussion. In that respect, it has to do with, actually has nothing to do with free trade because the decisions aren't free trade agreements. That's fast track, and this was considered a disaster when it wasn't passed. Why wasn't it passed? The media were 100% in favor of it. It was called a no-brainer, so obvious. The business world, of course, was totally in favor of it. The government obviously was in favor of it. The intellectual world was in favor of it. The population hated it. You know, people were banging on the doors of their local representatives and so on. Finally, they just had to vote against it. When they did vote against it, the Wall Street Journal had an article in which they called it a tragedy. And they said the problem is that the opponents of fast track have what they called, what was this nice phrase, you know, an uncontrollable weapon or something like that. Namely, the population was opposed. You know, it's just a weapon that we got to do something about. Well, there's something to do about it, and that is to keep it secret. That's why the negotiations go on in secret, and that tells you exactly what can be done if you make it public and do something about it. You know, as long as people are totally isolated, like each guy is sitting alone somewhere, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter what they know. If they're organized, which they can be, it's a free country after all in many respects, so they can be organized and they can just stop it. You know? And in fact, reverse the whole process. I mean, there's nothing in this that's fixed. A couple of MIT professors just published a book, an interesting book on multinational corporations, which was about, they're trying to look at whether they really are international or are they actually national, and their conclusion is they're basically national as they've always been. But they end up the book by pointing out that although the Anglo-American system is designed with corporations having responsibility only to stockholders, there's nothing inevitable about that, and nothing in the, you know, nothing in economics tells you that or anything else. They can be accountable to what are called stakeholders, which means everybody, the communities, the workforce, and others. And in fact, at that point, they stop being, you know, unaccountable collectivist legal entities. They become, if it continues, just you know, democratically controlled institutions. There's nothing to stop that. In fact, there's no point in this whole story where it has to go on.